All right, you guys, we're going to get right into it. Stacy and I are on our way home from the Redmond salt mine in Utah. It was a great time. We had a meetup, and a lot of people showed up. And thank you to everyone who made the trip. And thank you to everyone who's in the university.offgridwithdougandstacy.com. But while I was traveling back, I was doing research for some of my videos, and I ran across this post. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very intrigued by stuff like this, and I want to track it down, see if it's legitimate, right? Which I'm going to show you guys that it is. And it just had spiked my curiosities. And if you guys are really trying to learn the truth, if you're not just on the shallow or just going with the flow, I think you'll find this video very, very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to let this roll. I'm going to stop it in a few moments here so I can show you that I found the proof that this really does exist and that these stories are 100% true. Okay, roll the tape.
First newspaper is The Sun of New York. New York, June the 6th, 1915. That is The Sun. It's the first page of the 5th section that I want. And there we go. The Sun, it's a bit ripped along there, so it'll come off a bit. The 5th section is the front page. And the article is called Horrors Worse in Kishinev, Charged Against Russia Today. And there's the big article. Takes up most of the page. So go in. Yeah. Go. Since the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, the Jewish people have had no darker page in their history than that which the Russian government is writing today. 6 million Jews, one half of the Jewish people throughout the world, are being persecuted, hounded, humiliated, tortured, starved. Thousands of them have been slaughtered. Hundreds of thousands of Jews, old men, women and children, are being driven mercilessly from town to town. There it is, people. 6 million Jews. One half of the Jewish people throughout the world are being persecuted, hounded, humiliated, tortured and starved. As I go along here, it's a part here as well. Dear brethren, have mercy on the 6 million Jews in Russia and take our part. Is it in? 6 million Jews in Russia. 6 million. This is in an article entitled Horrors Worse in Kishinev, Charged Against Russia Today. That's in The Sun of New York, Sunday, June the 6th, 1915. This is 18 years before Hitler ever set from the government. 18 years. This is the next newspaper. This is the New York Times again. It's from 1918. There it is, the New York Times, October the 18th, 1918. It's page 12 that I want. There we go, page 12. Page 12, the New York Times, October the 18th, 1918, and the article is called $1 billion Fund to Rebuild Jewry. There it is. 6 million souls will need help to resume normal life when war is ended. 6 million souls. As I go down the article here, there's again. 6 million Jews need help. 6 million. 6 million Jews need help. That's in an article called $1 billion Fund to Rebuild Jewry. That is in the New York Times, October the 18th, 1918.
Alright, so here's the first one we're going to verify. It's in the New York Times. Actually, gosh, this is so awesome. Thank you, New York Times. But they actually archive all their old newspapers, and you can go on the internet and you can I paid the $4 so I could become a member just so I could get access. And you can find the stories for yourself, and you can go back in their Wayback Time Machine and see all the articles that this man is going to be presenting as we go forward. The other newspapers I couldn't really track down, but there's a lot of New York Times ones, and there you see it for yourself. 6 million souls will need help to resume normal life when the war has ended. I find this very, very interesting. Now let's continue.
Here's the next newspaper. This is New York Times again. The New York Times, September the 8th, 1919. It's page 6 that I want. There we go. Page 6. Page 6. The New York Times, September the 8th, 1919. And the article is called Ukrainian Jews Aim to Stop Pogroms. Mass meeting hears that 127,000 Jews have been killed and 6 million are in peril. 6 million. As I go down the article, there it is. We come out now before the world with a determined slogan, those pogroms must stop, said the President in his annual message. It is only a question of holding these facts continually before the civilized world. We must not permit the world to slumber. This fact that the population of 6 million souls in Ukraine and in Poland have received notice through action and by word that they are going to be completely exterminated. You literally cannot make this up. 6 million souls completely exterminated. 6 million. That is an article called Ukrainian Jews Aim to Stop Pogroms in the New York Times, September the 8th, 1919. This is 13 and a half years before Hitler come to power.
Just like he says, Ukrainian Jews aim to stop pogroms. Whatever that is. Jews have been killed and 6 million are in peril. Y'all, are you seeing a pattern here? I mean, I know I see it. I hope you see it too. Holy smokes.
This is the next newspaper. This is the New York Times again. The New York Times, the date, November the 12th, 1919. It's page 7 that I want on here. There you go. Page 7 in the New York Times, November the 12th, 1919. The article is called Tells Sad Plight of Jews. Felix M. Warburg says they were the worst sufferers in the war. There it is here. The successive blows of contending armies have all but broken the back of European Jewry, he said, and have reduced to tragically unbelievable poverty, starvation and disease about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. 6 million. 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. I'll go further down the article so you can read the rest of it. There is again, people. Unbelievable poverty, starvation and disease. About 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. An article entitled Tell Sad Plight of Jews in the New York Times, November the 12th, 1919.
Here's the next one, Wednesday, November 12th, 1919, on page 7, just like he said. Tells the sad plight of Jews. You can see it there for yourself. Let me zoom in for you. We have reduced to tragically unbelievable poverty, starvation, and disease about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population.
This is the next newspaper. This is the Atlanta Constitution from 1920. February 23rd, 1920. The article's on the front page here. It's called $50,000 raised in city to save suffering Jews. And it goes along the bottom. Continued on page 3, column 4. So I'll go to page 3. There we go. Constitution Atlanta, February 23rd, 1920. There it is. $50,000 raised to save suffering Jews. Continued from first page. I'll go down. He called upon the Atlanta Jews to arise to the occasion and to contribute to the emergency fund in order for the lives of 6 millions of Jewish people may be saved. 6 millions of Jewish people may be saved. I'll go further down. Rabbi Mark speaks. Rabbi Marx made an eloquent plea for generous responses to the call of the representatives of the Jewish Relief Fund. He drew a graphic picture of the starvation and suffering of the 6 million Jews who live in Eastern Europe and Palestine. 6 million Jews. Thousands upon thousands of our people have died of starvation and pestilence, and thousands more will die, he said. There it is, people. 6 million Jews. In an article entitled $50,000 raised to save suffering Jews in the Constitution of Atlanta, February 23rd, 1920. This is the next newspaper. This is the New York Times. This is from 1920. There we go. The New York Times. The date, Friday, May the 7th, 1920. It's page 11 that I want. There we go. Page 11. Page 11. And the article is called "The Jewish War Aid Gets $100,000 Gift." There it is. The Fund for Jewish War Sufferers in Central and Eastern Europe, where 6 millions face horrifying conditions of famine, disease and death, was enriched yesterday by a contribution of $100,000 from Nathan Strauss. Where 6 millions face horrifying conditions of famine, disease and death. 6 millions face horrifying conditions of famine. If anybody wants to read it. There's an article called "Jewish War Aid Gets $100,000 Gift" in the New York Times, Friday, May the 7th, 1920.
Here's the next one that he mentions from the New York Times, Friday, May 7th, 1920. There's the article he references right there. And it says the Jewish sufferers in Central Eastern Europe, where 6 million face horrifying conditions. And as he said and noted in this video, this is way before Hitler is even on the scene.
Here's the New York Times again. This is 1921. There you go. New York Times. Wednesday, July the 20th, 1921. It's page 2 that I want. There we go. Page 2. Page 2. New York Times, July 20th, 1921. And the article is called Begs America, Save 6 Million in Russia. Massacre threatens all Jews as Soviet power wanes, declares Kreinin, coming here for aid. Look at that. Russia's 6 million Jews are facing extermination by massacre. As the famine is spreading, the counter-revolutionary movement is gaining, and the Soviets' control is waning. Now this is one of the biggest articles of the lot. This is 1921, 12 years before Adolf Hitler ever set foot in the government. Look at that. Russia's 6 million Jews are facing extermination by massacre. That's an article entitled Begs America, Save 6 Million in Russia on page 2 in the New York Times, Wednesday, July 20th, 1921.
And there's the next one, right? Begs America to save 6 million in Russia. Man, are you guys, do you see this? What's going on here? Do you see this? This is like Operation Mockingbird from the early 1900s. They did not just pull 6 million out of World War II as some coincidence, y'all. They've been using that number over and over and over again before Hitler even showed up on the scene.
This is the Gazette of Montreal. This is 1931. The Gazette, Montreal, Tuesday, December the 29th, 1931. This is over a year before Hitler came to power. The Gazette, it's page 6 that I want. There we go. Page 6. Page 6. The Gazette, Montreal, December the 29th, 1931. And the article pretty much speaks up for itself. 6 million Jews face starvation. 6 million. Bad conditions in southeastern Europe reported by Rabbi Wise. Fears crisis at hand. 6 million Jews in Eastern Europe face starvation, and even worse during the coming winter. 6 million Jews. I'll give us a look at the rest of the article. The article is called 6 million Jews face starvation. The Gazette of Montreal, December the 29th, 1931. 1.5 years before Adolf Hitler ever set foot in the government. This is the next newspaper. This is the New York Times again. There we go. New York Times. But this is dated 1936. Sunday, May the 31st, 1936. This does not say the 6 million Jews, but it does say Holocaust. New York Times. It's page 14 that I want. There we go. Page 14. The New York Times, May the 31st, 1936. And the article is called Americans Appeal for Jewish Refuge. It's quite a big article. But it's along here. Yeah. The petition in expressing the opinion of enlightened Christian leadership in the United States favouring a larger Jewish immigration into Palestine stressed the intolerable sufferings of the millions of Jews in the European Holocaust. The European Holocaust in 1936, before the Second World War even started. You go up here, there it is again. Great Britain has it in her power to throw open the gates of Palestine and let in the victimised and persecuted Jews escaping from the European Holocaust. The European Holocaust in 1936, 3.5 years before the Second World War ever even started. That's in an article entitled Americans Appeal for Jewish Refuge, the New York Times, May the 31st, 1936.
So the story goes that he found all these newspapers in his attic. Okay, I found this very interesting, and I wanted to track this down to see if it was true. And with your own eyes, you can see that the New York Times even archives the newspapers so you can read it for yourself. Nobody's making this stuff up. I find it very suspect. Here's Anne Frank's sister, and this is what she has to say about the pictures that you guys received from World War II.
Pictures about the Russian liberating Auschwitz, and there's never any snow, and the snow was honestly that high. And so I have some connection with the Russian embassy, and I was there once, and I said, something puzzles me. Those photos are fakes because there's no snow. And they said, well, yes, they are not fakes, but when the army came, they didn't have cameras, they didn't photograph. So only much later, when they realized we should have pictures of it, they took pictures like you see now. But this is definitely not in Auschwitz and not the liberation of Auschwitz. There were not that many people with clothes and children and no snow.
Man, this is some wild stuff, y'all. Okay? The victimhood and this ongoing story. I'll just finish off the video with you guys listening to the rest of the papers that he found and all the different 6 millions. Oh, please, y'all. I'm trying to tell you guys, this is way deeper than most people, like 90% of people can even comprehend, okay? This is a very long, strategic, thought out, well-executed plan, all right? And you're not going to like where it ends up, okay? But the first thing we have to do is we have to wake people up. We have to share the information. We have to dig in and make sure it's true, right? I don't want to send around any false information. I don't even know what to say. But just do with what you will with this information. This is all legit, 100%. And you can't rationalize or rationally make an excuse for why this number is always 6 million. And then we're told in World War II about the same number, 6 million. Okay? Just like when I found this video of him talking about these newspapers, all it takes is for people to hear and then to go do the homework. Watch the rest of this clip. I'm going to roll it for you right now.
Here's the next newspaper. This is New York Times again. The New York Times. This is dated February the 23rd, 1938. This is before the Second World War started. About a year and a half. The New York Times. It's page 23 that I want. There you go. Page 23. The New York Times, February 23rd, 1938. And the article is called Jewish Teachers Chided by Isaacs. I'll go along the bottom. It is Jewish tragedy pictured. A depressing picture of 6 million Jews in Central Europe deprived of protection or economical opportunities, slowly dying of starvation, all hope gone, was presented to the teachers by Jacob Tarsus. The Jewish tragedy started when Hitler came into power in 1933. That is again, people. 6 million Jews in Central Europe, slowly dying of starvation. 6 million. This is in 1938. Jewish teachers charted by Isaacs. New York Times, February 23rd, 1938, a year and a half before the Second World War even started.
Alright, since you guys stayed to the very end, I'm going to drop you with this bonus little quote from General Patton. Okay, and I want you to realize that right after he said this, he died in this mysterious car crash, and you can go look this stuff up, okay? But he said, "Gentlemen, I have come this morning to the inexcusable conclusion that we have fought for the wrong side. This entire war we should have fought with the fascists against the communists and not the other way around. I fear that perhaps in 50 years America will pay a dear price and become a land of corruption and degenerate morals." Okay, that was Patton. And I'll show you the clip right there where he says it. And you guys stay vigilant out there. Alright? I thought this was very, very interesting.